Hi everyone, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads.com, and today's tutorial is going to feature one of our first multi-hole bead, the RounDuo. Adding into the RounDuo for this Emerald City bracelet, we are going to be adding some of our new crystals, the Bicone as well as the 1.5 by 2 millimeter rondelle. So gather up your materials that are listed and join me to make this Emerald City bracelet. So to begin our bracelet design, I'm going to begin by putting a stop bead onto 5 feet of beading thread. I'm using 0.006 wildfire beading thread in the gray color. And I'm not going to let too much of a tail because we will be coming back up and down the project as we add in some of the embellishments on the bracelet design, which easily can be used for earrings or for a center of a necklace as well. The stop bead is going to have the thread going through the bead 2 times in putting 2 pieces of thread on the outer edge, and that eventually will come off as I work into the design. To begin the design, we are going to actually start with our 15-0s. So I'm going to make a little pile of my 15s, and this is my predominant 15 color, and I'm using that olive luster color, that metallic olive. And I have my zinc RounDuos. I'm going to begin just with those items. To begin, I want you to add a RounDuo bead, a 15 RounDuo, 15 RounDuo, 15, one more RounDuo, and one more 15. So you're going to end up with 4 RounDuos that are finished off by a 15-0 seed bead. What's going to happen with this then is it is going to get rounded. So we're going to take it here, drop it down next to the stop bead, and then we're going to sew back through that first RounDuo bead in the same direction that we just picked the bead up. So the thread is going in a circle, and that's going to create our first little diamond unit. This is also basically right angle weave. What I want you to do then is we're going to kind of decorate the outside of the actual RounDuo bead. We'll be doing this as we progress at the beginning before we start the actual RounDuo little sequence here. The reason we're doing it here is because I want to go in and actually make sure the end is decorated just like the rest of the piece. So I have my 11-0s in bronze, which I'm going to dump out a little bit of. Coming out that RounDuo, that first hole there that we went through, I want you to add a 15, 11, 15. Go through the RounDuo towards the stop bead, which is going to expose those 3 beads along the exterior of that RounDuo. Give a nice tight yank, make sure that you don't have any extra thread exposed. Kind of push the stop bead down next to the project underneath, and that will take care of getting that out of the way. On the other side, I want to repeat, adding a 15, 11, 15, and go from the top hole now to the bottom hole of the RounDuo. When I go through that bottom hole of the RounDuo, I want you to make sure that you are not sewing through any of the seed beads. Coming out that then, we're going to progress to adding our crystals along the top as we go. So I want to sew through the first 15 and the second RounDuo bead that I put on in the progression. So you're coming out your RounDuo right there along the side. Go ahead and get out some of your Bicones, and these are the 4 millimeter Bicones in the green iris color. And I want my secondary color of my 15-0 seed bead. So I have my 15-0 seed bead that I'm just going to dump out a couple of because I don't need a lot of them on my mat. I'm going to add a 15, my crystal, and then a 15. I'm going to hop over to the other side of the diamond of the RounDuo that my thread is coming out of, the one that's across from it. I'm going to sew my thread and needle into the RounDuo across from it so that the thread is going to go into the same hole on the opposite side RounDuo. Pulling all that thread then, I want to force that crystal towards the top of the bead. That's going to have it hang out towards the bottom section here. Adding another 15, go back through that same bicone bead towards the starter RounDuo bead. So you're sharing through the bicone. The bicone's going to have 2 pieces of thread through it. Add another 15-0 seed bead and then sew through that same round duo, basically making almost like a figure 8. That's going to embellish the top of that right angle unit with my bicone. We're going to be repeating these steps then. And what we're going to do first is we need to get to our connector round duo. So the connector round duos are going to kind of sit in the middle. So I'm going to sew through the next 15-0 and through the next round duo bead. When coming out through the next round duo, which is going to sit right opposite the starter bead, so you're only connecting the middle to the 2 side beads, and as I progress, you'll get more and more of those side beads. What I'm going to do along the middle here is I want to add again that 15, 11, 15. So from the bottom hole to the top hole of that round duo, again added on the other side, 15, 11, 15, and sew through the round duo. Again, when you sew through the round duo here, we're going to want to come out to the top hole of the round duo in order to progress. So you're going to sew through those 3 beads that you just added along the side, along the first side of 3. And as you do so then, you're going to come out with your needle out the second hole of the round duo. The reason you're coming out the second hole of the round duo is because you want to start building with lengthwise. To build lengthwise, basically, we're just going to repeat over and over again now. So we have a 15 that we're going to put on, and we're going to add 3 round trios to create a diamond, or round duos rather, to create my diamond unit. In between those round duos and before and after, I'm going to add a 15-0. So you have round duos separated by 15-0s, and a 15-0, you want to make sure you have one at the start and at the finish. To get that rounded effect and create a diamond with these round duos, you're going to sew back into the round duo that your thread is coming out of. And you want to make sure when you're sewing through, I don't want to catch on any of those 15-0s that create the little picot trim covering one hole to the other of the round duo. And I'm sewing around, the thread is coming out here on the left side of that round duo. I'm adding all of my beads, those 3 new round duos with the 15s between and after each. And then I'm circling the thread back through the round duo so that the thread is coming out along the left side again. And there I have my next little diamond. From here, we're going to progress on basically. So the first thing I need to do is get my crystal in the middle with that silver, making it pop. I'm going to sew through the first 15 after the round duo that my thread is coming out of, as well as the next round duo along the side. So I'm always going to be coming out kind of that left one there. On is going to go a 15 in my alternate color, one of my crystals, and a 15. I'm going to sew into the round duo on the opposite side, going in the same direction that the thread is coming out of. So I'm going into the top because the thread is coming out of the top on the other side. Make sure that seed bead, crystal seed bead kind of sits on top of the design. Add another 15-0. Go back through that bicone again. Add another 15-0. And go through the round duo that your thread was originally coming out of, that round duo on the left side. The round duo on the left and the right of our little diamond units will currently have an empty hole on the very outside. When you get there then, you're going to do a nice pull down. Make sure those seed beads want to go to the top of the round duo and they want to hang out there in the middle. What's actually going to happen as you progress then is those beads along the side that I said had that second empty hole, we're going to decorate as we come back down the project. Once again, just to refresh, as you're going on then progressing, you're going to go through the 15 and through the round duo that's going to act as a progressor. And that's going to be the first round duo on your next little right angle unit. Again, to decorate the sides and get that little diamonding effect that we're going to link onto, a 15, 11, 15 gets added. So from the bottom hole of the round duo to the top hole of the round duo, exposing these 3 beads as a little picot trim along the side. Again on the other side, repeating, 15, 11, 15, back through the round duo, through the bottom hole this time, circling around the whole thing. And then I'm going to sew back through those 3 beads along the side that I added. Honestly, with the zinc colored RounDuos, I could just take the thread underneath the seed beads and sew from one hole to the other, but I'm going to go through the seed beads so that way I definitely don't see any thread. From here then, time to progress. To progress, we need to add our 3 RounDuos that have 15s between each, as well as a 15 at the start and the end. Take those in, round it out by sewing into that RounDuo and round out to get that diamonding effect. Once you're in that diamond effect, again, you go to the 15-0, the RounDuo on the left-hand side. And this becomes a very repetitive motion. Once you're out that RounDuo on the left-hand side, that's when we add our 15 silver, our bicone, and our 15 silver. Go into the RounDuo on the other side. Also at the top hole towards the bottom. Coming out the bottom hole then, add another 15. Go through the bicone, going towards the left now. Add another 15 to make that X kind of marking, and then go through that same RounDuo that the whole thread section here is coming out of. You can see a lot of extra thread there. Give it a nice tight yank. That's going to pull that Xing effect in and make sure your right angle unit doesn't have a lot of extra thread exposed. From there, sew through the 15, through your last RounDuo, and proceed on. So now it's just a building game of getting the center row of the bracelet established. I'm going to continue sewing in, adding my bicones and my X's, and creating my little right angle units. When your bracelet is long enough and you're continuing kind of design, I have, just to let you know, 15 of my right angle units. So I have 15 of my bicones on and then 15 of those right angle units. What I'm going to do, just like we did at the beginning, or as if we were getting ready to continue on, I'm going to decorate the last RounDuo along the side here with my 3 beads, my 15, 11, 15. And just like if I would be getting ready to add my next right angle unit, I'm going to go back through those 3 15s along the side. As I go back through the 3 15s on this side, I'm going to get ready to add my button then. So we're going to actually catch on to the 3 15s along the side. I'm going to, coming out of that 15, get ready to add 2 of my 15-0s, followed by an 11-0. From there, I want 2 more of my 15-0s, and then I'm going to go up through the back of my table cut button. Coming out the front then of the table cut button, I want to add a little bit of the crystal color. So go ahead and get ready with your 1.5 by 2 millimeter in that metallic green color. And I'm going to add a silver 15, followed by another silver 15, followed by the 1.5 by 2 millimeter, and then 2 more silver 15s. From there, I'm going to go down through the other side of the table cut button. Coming out the back of the button, go ahead and grab 2 of your green 15s or your alternate 15 color. Sew through the 11-0 seed bead. That's going to create a little X there along the back. And I want you to add 2 more of your 15s. And then we're going to sew in through the 15 on the other side of the RounDuo, as well as the 11. This creates that link then, which gets the button in place. And then also we'll be coming up and reinforcing this as we come back up the project. So I'm just going through that one time to create and add the button. From here now we're going to come down the sides and we're going to be adding in our little rondelles. So we're going to add in those 1.5 by 2 millimeter rondelles, which I want you to also get ready because you're going to be adding in more of your 15-0s. At this point, we're actually finished with our 11-0s, but we are going to be using both colors still of our 15s. Coming down the side of the project, I want you to add 2 of your green 15s and sew into the first RounDuo bead that your thread is coming out of. From here, you're going to create a little bit of a picot trim along that RounDuo, which is going to have the 1.5 by 2 millimeter rondelle. What I want to do there is actually add my 15, my rondelle, and my 15, and I'm doing these in that metallic green color as well. Going back through the RounDuo then, in the same direction the thread was going through, rounding out along that second open hole, you're going to pop the 15 and the crystal and the 15 towards the outer edge. From here, with that same 15-0 color, go in and add in 2 more 15s, and sew in through the 11 on the interior there of the crystal. That's going to create our Xing effect. When you're out the 11, add 2 more 15s and go to your next of your RounDuos along that baseline. So I'm going to go the whole way up the right hand side. You may say, oh, I'm seeing a lot of thread there. You will see a fair amount of thread, but as we come back and add our other 15 color and our bicone, that will hide a lot of that thread. So after the 2 15s, after the 11, you're coming out of the RounDuo again, adding the 15 crystal 15, and then circling through that RounDuo bead to pop the crystal along the top. We're going to go down and add that on the right hand side, make our loop for our clasp, and then come back and add them along the left hand side as well. As you come to the end of the first side, what you're going to do is use this opportunity to add the loop for your button. I want you, after coming out the 11, just like we did the other side, going to go up through the 15-0 that sits on the end of that picot trim. We're going to add 2 15s, 1 11 to bring it back kind of into that X formation, and then we're going to make our loop. Depending on what colors you use or want to use, that's going to affect kind of and what size you want to use, how many beads you're going to use for your table cut button. I'm going to use my 15 O's, and I'm sticking with that green color. So I'm going to, actually what I'll do is I'll add 1 silver, and then I'm going to add about 35 of the greens. So I'm adding that nice deep olive green color. Then I'll let them all fall down on the needle. I also wanted to mention I chose to do this with 1 needle. This could easily be a 2 needle project for those of you that like the 2 needle, that watch a fair amount of the videos that I do. I often use 2 needles in order to make it easier for individuals that aren't as familiar with beading to do simple techniques like right angle weave, which are much easier to comprehend with 2 needles. This project could be done with 2 needles very easily, going up and down the project with a simple 2 needle right angle weave technique. So keep that in mind if you're trying to teach somebody new. A lot of times it is way easier to learn that 2 needle right angle weave than it is to do the 1. The advantage that you have with this bracelet is that we're using the RounDuos. It makes it very easy to stay on track and to figure out what beads you need to go and what hole you need to go through, because it does have the 2 holes to it. So it makes it easier to keep track of where you are in the actual right angle weave process. After you have your 15-0 seed beads on, you're going to come back down through that 11-0 seed bead that you added. We're going to add 2 more of our 15s, and we're going to go sew down through the first 15 and 11 of the picot trim. When we sew down the 15 and the 11 of the picot trim, that gets us right back where we started on the other side, going in and adding in our seed beads along the side. So continuing on then, and you will have an opportunity as we come back down to reinforce that loop. Make sure you always want to reinforce. So I'm adding 2 seed beads, connecting on to my RounDuo, and then on goes the exterior beads that sit along at the top. And continue on, adding your 2 beads, linking onto your 11, and then circling around the trio, adding on the 15 crystal 15. As you come to your last RounDuo, you're going to add 2 seed beads just like you've been doing, and then go up through that side 11, and this is your opportunity to reinforce the clasp one more time, going through that line of 15s as well as the 11, up through the table cut button, down through the other side of the table cut button, and down through the beads after the table cut button. Going through that 11-0 again, and down the opposite side, again going through that row of 15s, the 11s. You see I'm going through that entire row here, that connection. And I want to get in position and get ready to add my larger crystals. Here at the ends, I'm going to add a 15-0 just to connect on and cover up some of that empty space. I'm going to go through the 15-0 on the other side of the crystal, having gone through the crystal, or the 15-0 and the crystal already. And now I'm going to get ready to add in my bicones. Here's where I'm done with my 11s. I'm done primarily with these 15s, but I am going to use them again just to add a little bit at the end here. But I'm on to my silvers and back to my bicones. So the silver and the bicone are going to sit on the edge of the design here. What you're going to want to do is add a 15 crystal and then a 15. We're going to hop over to the other side here and sew through the crystal that's already there. Super simple. 15 crystal, 15, sew through the crystal that we added along the side. And that crystal along the side basically is our connection point. And just to show you, because I had it happen every once in a while with the galvanized seed beads, you'll get one that has a lot of that galvanization and that hole kind of is closed and doesn't like the needle. Just take that off. And there we go. So you can see that 15 along the edge really kind of pops out. That's why I switched the color, the middle as well as the outside of that bicone. We're going to go up the right side and then come back the left side. As I go up the right side of the project, you'll start to feel it a little bit more, creating kind of that bowing effect. That is good, and you want that because it's going to make that crystal pop out. So it's going to seem like it's pulling to the right side until you come down on the left side. But continue up the whole way, adding in your bicones right along the side, taking the place of that X. And then we'll go in, we'll reinforce the loop of our clasp and come down the other side. After adding the 15 and coming out the 15 along the after the crystal, you're going to add a 15, a bicone, and a 15-0 seed bead. The technique is going to be really simple. You're going to create basically fill in that X with a bicone going through the 15 crystal 15 that you added along the exterior of the RounDuo. After coming out that, you're going to add a 15 crystal 15, catch on the next set, adding and sewing through the 15 and crystal and 15. You'll get a tiny bit of a bowing effect that the crystals will kind of be pulling towards the back a little bit as you go in and create this link. Don't worry about that. We want it to sit up a tiny bit so that bicones really stick up along the top. So you're going to go through on the right hand side here, adding in the 15, the bicone, the 15, right along the sides of the X, sewing into the 15 rondelle 15. Go the whole way up the right hand side, we'll reinforce the loop and we'll come down the left hand side. Now that I've finished down the right side here with the bicones, I'm coming out the crystal along the edge. I'm going through the 15 just as if I was going to add another bicone. And then again, here's where I'm going to pick up that extra 15 and then sew right along that line, just like I did when I was coming out the cup side. Going through then, I'm going to reinforce the loop. And as I reinforce the loop then, I'm going to go up and sew through, getting that second time. If you want to, you can also sew through another time to get a third time through the loop. And then also I am going to tie off the starter thread. That way that is not there and I don't have to tie it off to something after the fact. I'm going to tie it off to one of the passes right now. So I'm going to come down here and go down the side just like as I was doing And here along the side is where I'm going to add my other green 15-0, just to make up some of that space. And again, the thread is kind of right there, going through the RounDuo. And actually, prior to going through those 2 beads, that's my fault. Here's where I'm going to tie off the thread. Coming out after the 11, I'll take the stop bead off here. That way I don't see a lot of extra thread. And after I take the stop bead off and kind of slide the stop bead off, I'll go in and tie off the thread, burn down the edges of the thread, and then continue back through those 15s and add the 15 and come down the other side. So going through and adding this in like a nice square knot. And the nice thing is this will be at the bottom of the project, so you will not see it. Make sure when you burn the thread end, I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail until I'm completely done with the project. Do not by accident burn through the thread that you're working with. From here then, I'm going to go back through those 2 15s along the side, add in my 15, and then up along the left-hand side, which I'm going to turn obviously towards the right, going through the 15 crystal 15, and then up along the side we go, adding in our bicones along this other end. As you come through towards the end, adding in our last crystal, I'm going to go through the 15, through the rondelle, through the 15, just like I would be normally. And here's where I'm going to add 1 more 15 just to kind of cover up that thread. And then here's our chance one last time to reinforce our thread through our button. After the thread is reinforced through the button, your bracelet is complete. It has that nice kind of arching effect on it. You can see that it has just a little bit of that arch, as you see. And what that does is it allows the bicones to sit up. Really, you get such a nice Xing effect from the RounDuos, having those 2 holes, and then the bicones fit perfectly along the sides, kind of mimicking and really dressing up that X that was created. Once you're done tying off your thread ends, your Emerald City bracelet is done. I did end up using 42 of the bicones. I went down 15 along the middle, and then I kind of doubled that along the sides as I was working with them. And then the crystal rondelles that you have, you're going to use double the number of right angle weave units you have, so I'm using about 30 of those. You could dress up the clasp too, add some crystals along there, and then obviously you have your 1 button that you have. After you're done, you have your wonderful, wonderful Emerald City bracelet with that shine and that kind of perfect fit and perfect luster to it. Again, if you need any of the materials, you can go back to where they're listed at the beginning. Also, we'll put little links below the video in the description of the video with links to purchase the products from us from PotomacBeads.com and also to get your RounDuos from PotomacBeads.eu. As always, if you like this video, it helps if you give a little thumbs up. That helps me to know exactly what you want to see and what videos you would like to see more of, what designs you want and like the look of as well. Also, if you want to comment below how and why you liked the video, that's also helpful. Any more description is better than none at all. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel and get regular updates when this is done, and get little notifications too from Facebook if you want to be notified when new things come out there as well. You can also join us on Facebook and join our group for beading and jewelry making there. Check out our regular Facebook page, but if you join our group, it's a wonderful collection of people that love to make jewelry, love to inspire, to show off their work, and really are super helpful with answering questions and giving ideas as well. As always, if you get a chance to play around with some of these 4mm bicones and the RounDuos, you may even have some RounDuos at home, and you can always substitute some different designs as far as the sides catching onto the crystals. I just loved how these 2 beads and these 2 crystals gave an exact fit for a wonderful bracelet that you can wear. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have fun making the Emerald City bracelet.